Hello there, welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing a two-page scrapbook layout. I will be featuring one of the new stamp sets from Stampin' Up's online exclusives that went live on July 1st. And so today the pictures that I will be focusing on are from a family reunion. My son and a bunch of his cousins were on a tire swing and I was pushing them, and as I kind of twirled them around, for whatever reason it felt like I was stirring a big pot, and so as I was doing that I started acting like a witch and stirring them around, and we all giggled and laughed really hard. And so I wanted to just document that moment, and when I saw the stamp set, that's when I knew I wanted to document that moment. With the cat and the crows and the cauldron, it definitely has a Halloween vibe, and so it will make for some really cute Halloween projects in the future. But today, like I said, I'm going to focus on this moment at the park. I do feel like the cauldron is going to be the star of the show on this layout. So if you follow me, you may have seen my last YouTube video. If you haven't seen it, I'll link it in the description down below. But I use the Gnomes for Autumn from Close to My Heart, that collection. And so as I was going through the paper, I already kind of had this idea for this page in my head. And so when I saw the limeade paper, I thought, oh, that's going to look perfect with the color scheme that I had, formulating in my head. And so I've already gutted it out. I put some white daisy there on top, and I will be doing a frame style layout. The other colors I want to bring in are Royal, which if you're using Stampin' Up, that's going to be Gorgeous Grape. I actually use the Royal paper and the Gorgeous Grape ink pad, and they work really well together. The orange color is Pumpkin. The Stampin' Up equivalent would be Pumpkin Pie, and then I use charcoal, and the Stampin' Up color would be Basic Gray. So basically I took some scraps of those colors and I just cut small pieces and turned them into banners, and you can see that I did two different sets of them, so you don't actually have to have a piece that goes all the way through. You can just use smaller pieces. In fact, mine are much longer than they even need to be, but you can see that by the end of this they're going to look like they go all the way through. The banners, I think, will really highlight this picture that I have as a 5x7. I do want a matte behind it, and so I'm bringing in charcoal. I'm going to use the dark side of charcoal, and I actually turned all these pictures black and white. The kids actually had these bright red shirts on, and I knew that the bright red shirts would just really kind of clash with the color scheme I wanted to go with, and so I did turn them black and white. I think that was a really good option with this. And so here I'm putting the other 4x6 by the 5x7 picture, and then these two I think I'm going to chop down to 4x4 squares, and then I'm putting a placeholder there for journaling, and that's going to leave me with two spots to really play with embellishments there. I did trim down that mat. I had it at a 1/4 inch, and I decided to go with the 1/8 inch. I've trimmed these down to the 4x4s and decided that a banner might be cute to put behind there, so the banners are tied across the pages. And so at this point I'm also deciding that I think the pages would look better flipped, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that in a little bit, but I've decided that I want to put the title in that big spot above my journaling. So I bring in the cauldron. There's two ways that you can use this cauldron. There's probably more, but you can use it as a standalone die. If you use the die, there are some cute handles that you can add to it, but the stamped image actually has the handle in the middle there, and I just really like the detail and the shadowing and stuff like that on the stamped image. You can use the same die to cut out the stamped image. So I add the little goop that comes out of the pot. That is also a die. Decide to do that in the limeade paper. While I have the stamp set out, I'm looking at the little teeny extra stamps, and I think, oh, this might be cute to take the stamps and to do some repeated stamping on the banners. And so on the orange, I decide to use the bubbles. There's two different sizes of bubbles, and so I use the large ones first and then fill in the spots with the smaller one. And one thing I did notice on this is that even though it's circular, you still want to rotate your stamp as you do this, and I did not, which means that all of the little highlight, like reflection spot on the bubble, are all in the same spot, and it's probably not a huge deal. I didn't feel the need to redo it, but if you did some repeated stamping with the bubble, I would definitely rotate it so that those are in different spots. I am using tone-on-tone stamping. I just want something subtle. I didn't want a big statement up there. And so that was pumpkin on pumpkin. And then I actually don't have the limeade or the lemon lime twist, which is the Stampin' Up color. I don't have either of those ink pads. So I used the next best thing that I had. It was Old Olive, and it's a little darker than I'd like it. And so I start by just doing, first generation stamping. And then I realized, yeah, this is too dark. And so then I decide, oh, I'll go in and do some second generation stamping. It basically ends up looking like a hot mess. I do actually redo the green banner eventually and decide to only use second generation, just because it was darker than I wanted it. So I've basically flipped my pages here and made the banner here with just some royal cardstock. That leaves a journaling spot and then a big title that I can do a lot with. I decide that I want some more definition between the white cardstock and the limeade border, and so I bring in two different colors to test them out. The banner was kind of distracting because it was the same color, and so I go ahead and get that out of the way. Here's the royal with the green, and I'm liking that, but I'm going to try the pumpkin. The pumpkin I do like, but it feels more like pumpkin patch to me, and so I decided to go with the more bold color and use the purple or the royal here. And so I go ahead and trim that. Because I did that though, I had to cut the banner in orange because I didn't want too much royal over there. And so what I'm doing now is with the cauldron, I'm just doing a light pencil mark so I know where that ends, so I can add some really cute bubbles. One of the stamps is just like foaming bubbles, and so that goes above the cauldron, and it's a really fun stamp. I'm using the Old Olive ink to do the bubbles, and it does look a little dark, but it does also get lighter as it dries, and I decide I like it a lot. I do go back in later and add some ink blending to add some more color and magic over there above the cauldron. But for now, that's kind of where I leave that, and I turn to my title. This is it's basically a Harry Potter font that I found like on dafont.com, I believe, years ago, and I thought it looked like, kind of a witchy font, and so I used that and my Cricut to cut out the lettering. I wanted to show off these dies, and so a lot of the dies cut out the stamp sets, but there are standalone, and so I've made a bunch of those. These bubbles, instead of just having one bubble as a die, it actually is like connected, and so you get 4 bubbles in one pass through your die cutting machine, which is a really nice feature. And so here I have some books that I've colored with alcohol markers. I basically use the color scheme with some neutrals to do that, and decide I just want to do one set there. This is a little potion bottle, and there's actually some like goop that comes out of it, that pours out of it, and so I thought it would be cute to maybe put it above the cauldron or above the title. I ended up not doing that, but that would be a really fun, cute idea. I also have put a black cat. I switched the books, the book location, but the black cat is actually on charcoal, and it might look better if I colored it with alcohol markers. You probably could see its features a little better, but in person you can see some of those features. And here I am playing with the little potion bottles, and I just put those off to the side for now. And then I turn to the bubbles. The bubbles are so fun, and I basically am going to just cluster them around this title and just see, how many I want and what kind of look I'm going for. While I'm playing with the bubbles, let me tell you about a current promotion that's going on at Stampin' Up. So July starts what they call bonus days. So now through July 31st, if you spend $50, you will receive a $5 coupon to use during the month of August. And so basically what that means is if you buy, say, this bundle with the stamps and the die cuts and then an ink pad, you would get a $5 coupon that you could use in August. So I've moved my title down, and now I'm going to do some ink blending. I'm using Old Olive. This is actually the first time that I've used Stampin' Up ink to ink blend. And in my experience as I've stamped with it, I have found that it's a lot juicier than what I'm used to. And so I'm a little nervous about doing this, but I practiced and make sure that I blot off at the beginning. And then I just went in with a very light hand. I was like very aware of that, just because I didn't want it really dark. So I probably put a little more ink down than I needed to. I went out to the sides a little more than I probably would have done in hindsight. But I do really like the effect when I bring in the title. While I had my ink blending out, like I said, I did add some ink by the bubbles. And then I also got my toffee ink out and added some blending to the broom, the straw part of the broom, just so it would have a little more dimension as well. So as I glue all of these bubbles, I thought I would read my journaling. I just wrote, at the family reunion, all the little cousins ended up at the resort playground. The tire swing was a favorite, so many cousins piled on. I was pushing. At some point, I started twirling the swing, which felt like I was stirring a pot. I started acting like a witch that was stirring up her potion. We were all laughing so hard. It was a fun moment to share. I loved the moments when I found my inner child and played with you. And then I put the date. And so that's my journaling. This goes in a book of pages I'm doing for each of my kids, where I just highlight moments that I have truly loved being their mother. So back to the bubbles, I do find that it's really fun to cluster them. So like the little set of 3 and the 2 together, I just think that's such a fun look for the bubbles. And I did try to kind of pay attention to color distribution, and but there's really no right or wrong way to do this. I do go back in with the little magic stamp. I don't know what else to call it. It's like the little stars, and added some of that as well. And so here's my journaling that I just read, and I have it on white, and it just is, it's feeling a little stark, honestly. And so I actually printed it out on the pumpkin cardstock and try that out. I do decide though that I actually don't like that. It's too much orange down there. And the purple is just too dark. And so I go back to the white, but decide if I put something up above it, it might break it up a little bit. And there's a lot of space up there too. There's some dead space that I wanted to fill. And so I pulled out my tags, of course, and I stamped the little saying from the stamp set, a little hocus pocus. And so that's pretty cute. I did actually stamp it on the bottom and cut it off so it had like, it looked more like a tab. So I played around with that. I even put it on the side at one point. It was kind of cute over there. I end up using the tag though and decide it needs a buddy. So I bring in a purple one and kind of put it at an angle underneath it. I think it looks pretty cute there. And I tried some charcoal twine that I had, but I actually didn't love it. And so then I just cut little strips of paper to put in as the ribbon, and I actually liked that more. And so, like I said, I did put the purple one kind of at an angle, and put that there. I do actually add a little potion bottle to the top right there too. And that is my page for today. Thanks for joining me. I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching this video. Enjoy the rest of your day.